Well, hello there, Baruch. Welcome back to the CEO Unplugged podcast. Today, the club and I took a trip upstate to Kingston, New York, to bring you a very special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, Sir Laird Mackintosh.
Thank you.
Thoroughbred, New York.
Nice to be here. Thanks, John.
Yes, thank you so much. So, why don't you tell us a little more about your store and tell the students more about how this came around?
Sure. Well, we're in my store. It's called Thoroughbred, New York, Kingston, New York. I sell exclusively vintage Ralph Lauren. Ralph, of course, being an alumni from the mid '60s, I think, of Baruch. And well, I was telling you guys when you came in that this is basically like my collecting passion turned into a shop. Mm-hmm. So you could categorize it as a vintage store, but it's, I think one thing that I was very careful about doing was trying to specialize and make it into just vintage Ralph Lauren. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes. So that's what it is. And there's the plumbing.
But what prompted you to do only vintage Ralph Lauren? Do you say that?
Well, my whole life I've been an actor in the theater business. And I'm originally from Western Canada, Calgary, Alberta. And when I was a teenager growing up in Canada, my very first job, I worked in a polo store in the 1980s. And so I've just completely loved, Ralph Lauren's work. And then throughout my entire career being an actor in the theater, I was collecting Ralph Lauren. And then at a certain point, like we had, the show that I was in, Phantom of the Opera on Broadway, was shut down over the pandemic. And during the shutdown, I thought, I think I'm going to sell some of my vintage pieces and sort of clear out my closet at home. And my wife was thrilled to hear this. And I started selling things. I started selling on Instagram. And I'll go one step further back than that. I started selling things as everybody else does on eBay. Okay. And I said to my wife, I think I made $50 on that sweater or something, So then I was like, maybe since we're not working right now and the show is shut down, we have no employment, I'll just start buying some things on eBay to resell Ralph Lauren pieces, which I did. And then that was, I was making a little bit of money doing that. And I thought, okay, I'm going to cut out eBay now and just see if I can sell via my Instagram account. So I had a small Instagram account at the time that was not my personal account. I had my personal account for my theater business, but I already had this Instagram account that was kind of devoted to Ralph Lauren stuff. And I think the first time, I put a piece up and said this piece is for sale. Somebody wrote me from England, and I said, are you comfortable just paying me through PayPal? And they were like, sure, completely trusting. Mm-hmm. So I sold that piece, they paid me, and I sent it to England. And then I thought, there's something I could do here, because I always knew that there was a great market in the world for Ralph Lauren's work. Obviously, his work over 50 years is kind of gigantic. He has, many different subgenres that are collected. It's not just polo that is collected. You have polo sport, you have RRL, rugby, polo country, polo sportsman. There's all these different lines within the brand. So there's a great following worldwide. And once I started selling through my Instagram account, then I did that for a year during the pandemic. Then my show Phantom came back on Broadway. I went back to work, but I continued selling. And then I was kind of off to the races. And then Phantom of the Opera closed on Broadway. And at that point, I thought, I think I'm going to take a stab at getting a shop, like a brick and mortar shop, which is how this happened. Yes. And so that was a big leap of faith. I looked around quite a bit, to find the ideal spot. I found this spot in Kingston, New York. We're in the old St. Joseph Catholic School, which is part of the church next door. They closed the school. The company that bought this building got it zoned properly for commercial spaces. And I walked in that door and said, this is perfect. Like it's a big kind of loft-like space. I knew I was going to be able to stack the clothing up double height, which I wanted to do. So then I moved in about a year and a half ago, took 6 months to build all these racks and get everything, all the clothing moved in, and finally opened the doors, for business by appointment only about 10 months ago.
Okay, wow, that's an amazing story.
Well, it's if there's one thing I can tell your listeners, and because I'll be the first to admit I know absolutely nothing about business. It's been a learning curve for me, but I have heard it said that for people who want to start something or create something or go into a business or be entrepreneurial about their business, start before you think you're ready, because what you are going to learn while you are doing the work, as opposed to in theory, is going to be much more valuable than thinking about it. So that's been the case for me, yeah. So, and of course, the other thing I would say, John, is that invaluable in what I have been doing has been specializing. So I took the idea of having a vintage store, and there are many different types of vintage stores, but I knew from the start that because the thing that I was interested in was Ralph Lauren, I was going to specialize and have a vintage shop that was only Ralph Lauren. And I knew I could distinguish myself in that way. There's only one. I'm the only shop in North America that is selling exclusively vintage Ralph Lauren, and that has been an idea that has been something that people can get their head around. So I think when they hear about that, they have an idea of what it's going to be. Obviously, I am piggybacking on all of Ralph Lauren's extraordinary success and all of his followers around the world, and so that's very fortuitous for me. But people are interested in Ralph Lauren, and so I guess I got myself a little bit of a built-in audience. Yes. Then I knew I had to create something that would be very special, that would be distinct, and that when people came to the shop, they would have an experience that was distinct. So that is what I'm trying to create by having the shop that is by appointment only. We're up here on the second floor, and as you guys noticed when you came in, there's no signage on the door, so nobody even really knows that I'm in here. You when you make an appointment, you get the hour all to yourselves, and it's got a bit of a speakeasy kind of feel in the sense that people have to. It's sort of like if you know, and when you book in for an appointment, you find the space, and then people come in, there's a place to sit. Quite often people will come in a group of, thank you, a group of three or, feel free to put your feet up. We can kick our feet up here, but people will come in a group of 3 or 4 people. Maybe one person in that group doesn't want to shop so much. They can sit here, there's books, they can have a coffee and just relax. And so, and of course for me, it's just like fun. I'm just doing something that I absolutely love and something that I would be doing anyway if I didn't have the shop, collecting and trying to hunt for all these old special rare vintage pieces. So I suppose for collectors out there, collectors of Ralph Lauren, I am thinking in terms of how I can provide, obviously, like what service can I provide to those people that is unique.
Yes, and it kind of feels like you came at the right time, because I feel like Ralph Lauren lately has been having a bit of what you may call it,
Renaissance.
Yes, especially among our generation.
Yes, totally, John. My timing has been very lucky. That's for sure. And I suppose an element of having any little modicum of success in any enterprise is your timing has to be right. So I've been very lucky that there is. Ralph is having a banner year right now. There's a renewed interest in, or rather, there's a new interest a big interest in his vintage pieces, and I think people will come into a vintage store. Some people come because they want pieces that are 30, 40 years old. They love the age and the heritage that's in a piece. Some people come because they want the quality that they quite correctly perceive is in an older garment. And a lot of young people come now with the environmental aspect of the clothing, right? They don't want to buy something that's brand new. They don't want to contribute to that kind of, the bad side effects that come with that kind of thing, the cost to the earth. And so they love the idea that they're getting a garment that's already had 1 or 2 lives before them and is going to have lives after them.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What do you think that says about where fashion is going in the next few years?
Well, I think there's a great individuality in fashion right now, which is really wonderfully refreshing and inspiring to see, because people come in. I mean, you and I were looking at each other and saying, we've got the same jacket on here, but we've both styled it very differently. There's kind of an appreciation of, definitely an appreciation of quality in vintage garments. And I think it just says that fashion is going somewhere very individual, distinct, unique. People, I think, are really styling it their own way, and people are getting a real sense of the potential of what they can do with mixing styles, right? Which has always been something that Ralph has done so beautifully. Mixing like cowboy boots with a tuxedo, or mixing a denim jacket with a leather waistcoat, but something that's maybe more.
I thought it was a vest, by the way. It's a beautiful.
Yeah, maybe it is. I mean, it's a vest, but like usually something that's like tailored menswear, but it has more of a casual kind of feel here. And I'm wearing it with like army fatigues, cargo pants, and a necktie. So just kind of mixing it all up, and I think people are really are doing that now.
Yeah,
so they don't
afraid to experiment.
Exactly. And they don't necessarily come in here some guys come in and they want to practically buy a whole new wardrobe here, everything from the shoes up. But some people come in, they want to get one piece,
Absolutely, yes. And as I was telling Laird earlier, the way I got into Ralph Lauren was I started watching some older pictures of my father wearing these Ralph Lauren shirts, and I just thought they were beautiful. And that's how I kind of got into the whole Ralph Lauren world. Started shopping on eBay myself. Yes, just getting
super cool. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and that's kind of a lot of people are really appreciating, style from another generation right now, and which is really cool too.
Absolutely, yes. But yeah, before we go, do you have any message out there for the young entrepreneurs that maybe want to They want to give that step, but they haven't quite done it yet to start their own business? Well,
I would say do it. I mean, we all are thinking about a lot of things that we want to do, and I think, like we touched on before, I would say start before you think you're ready, because you're ready now. And you don't have to have a perfectly realized idea of what you're going to do to be able to execute it. I would just say start, and it will become apparent to you what you need to modify, what you need to change, and be led by the thing that you are passionate about, because people always respond to genuine passion for something. And also be completely original, because if you do something that somebody else has already done, people will respond to it by saying, well, that's already been done before. Try to do something that is unique and make yourself distinct. That's my, little bit of advice that I can give.
Sir Laird Mackintosh, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
Wait, what?
Oh, JFK. Yeah, we can talk about that too. Yeah, right.
All right, let's just add it to it.
Sure. Yeah, I can add it in.
All right.
Sure.
So Earlier, you mentioned how a dresser from the new JFK show that just came out. I believe Love Story is the name of the show.
That's right. Yeah, JFK Love Story. Yeah. Well, you were asking if I've had any film crews in here, costume designers, that sort of thing. Yeah, absolutely. The designer of JFK came in. Of course, they were very interested in pieces from the 1990s and interested in the authenticity. So that was a wonderful afternoon for me. I had had a great time, just learning more about that aspect of how the film and TV business is interested in utilizing vintage pieces. And of course, it was a great match, for a show like that.
Yes.
So, yes, you may see some of my pieces in JFK.
Yes, definitely. You need to show us which pieces are so we can put it over.
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching it myself right now, and I'm looking like into the background to see if I can see one of my, one of the camel polo coats or something like that go by. Double-breasted navy blazers with brass buttons.
Amazing.
Kind of the quintessential, 90s Ralph Lauren pieces.
So those golden buttons.
Yes,
Buttons.
right.
All right, lovely.
Thank you.
Are we good to go? Yeah.
Good job.
Really? That's it? Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else? Okay, that is a good question. Let me answer that because let me talk a bit about how it could expand as well. So, can you ask that question of me? Okay, right. Or yeah.
No, yeah, absolutely. So, do you have any plans for expansion? Obviously, there's only so much vintage Ralph Lauren out there. What's the next step?
You touch on a very interesting point there, right? Because there's a question of supply and demand, and especially with vintage, of course, you only have one piece, right? Like it's very difficult to scale vintage. And I know that some vintage dealers in the past have eventually began producing their own pieces. So that is certainly something that I'm looking into right now. It's always been an interest of mine from 20 years ago, like the idea to sort of, design my own stuff. So to be able to make one or two very specific like house pieces, a house tweed jacket or a navy blazer or a top coat. But to be able to have 200 of them in the back room, so that somebody can come in and say, oh, this is my size, I need the next size up, and you have it. And also being able to scale in that way gives you the opportunity to put something on a website and really and also perhaps have pieces that would be sold in another store, not under your own store. So those are all ways in which I know that people who start in vintage, that's how they might expand their business.
Which is kind of funny because I feel like that's the ethos Ralph had when creating a lot of his pieces. They would pretty much collect vintage pieces and do kind of reproductions of them.
Absolutely. I mean, Ralph was always brilliant at putting his own very distinctive spin or trademark or stamp on pieces that he used as inspiration. I really don't think you could ever say that Ralph copied anything, but he certainly took inspiration from pieces and was genius about the way that he redesigned them.
Yes.
And so yeah, I mean, I hope I can have an opportunity to do that myself at some point in some small way.
Yes, we'll be outside the door by the first day when you sell them.
Oh, great. Thank you. I'll need that. Pieces that, one of the cool pieces we were just talking about is the, the classic DB blazer, double-breasted navy blazer with the brass buttons. I try and get these basically in any condition that I can find them, because they're really sought after. Like guys will come in the door here, they want a navy blazer like that. It's a classic. The tweed jackets are really huge, but like this is kind of interesting. I mean, I have a couple of these. This is a brand new Ralph Lauren jacket. Wow. It's a super popular jacket with the company right now called the RL67, but like this is the jacket that it's based on from the 1970s. Oh, wow. And do you want to hold this one, John? Sure, yeah. So, you can see some of the similarities. The bellows, those are called bellows pockets. The throat latch here, integral on the lapel. This one has the old woven leather football buttons. and the suede elbow patches. And then, they both have tartan variations on the collar. That's a beautiful, this is like kind of a holy grail piece, this 1970s one. And then I'm just going to show you another piece that is really, really popular with collectors are the classic polo coat. Camel coat, double-breasted, big, beautiful peak lapels, this letterbox pockets with this beautiful welted, thick seam stitching, the cuff, and a half belt at the back. Just beautiful things.
Yes,
so
classic New York style.
Classic New York style. That's the kind of thing that John, why don't you try it on? This is the kind of thing that I'm always looking for. Let's see how this looks on you. Be kind of cool, even over top of your jacket. It'll be cool looking. See if you can squeeze it on.
There you go.
There you go. Classic Ralph right there. Looks great, doesn't it?
Amazing. Yes, I love this. I feel like I'm a millionaire right now.
Yeah, exactly. Looks great.
It's amazing.
Right on.
Thank you so much, Laird.
My pleasure. Okay, so how was that? Yeah. They had just started to open this space up for commercial use, and I walked in the door and I was like, this is it. Like 1 second in that door, I was like, this is it. The windows, the high ceiling, I knew I could build my racks up high. And so I thought, I'm gonna go for it.
Designing the whole space here, because I see some of these are props, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
And then you have paintings, and how did you go about choosing all of those artifacts?
Well, this rack here, I thought I'm going to put 3 levels of coats high, and then I made a mistake when I calculated that little knuckle joint in the pipes. I forgot to add that, and I made it too high, so I couldn't do the third. So I thought, okay, I'll put a shelf on top, which actually worked out better. The shelf is better to just display some things, and I wanted to take advantage of the height in the room to be able to store the clothing high. So that has helped me. Although I thought I'm going to have all my storage problems solved here, but it's been I have so much stuff in here that, I need more storage space, but I guess that's a good problem to have. One of the things I think that is inspiring, you have to create a space that is going to give people a kick or inspire them or make them have some happiness when they walk in the door.
I think part of the value proposition of a store that is by appointment only, that sells vintage clothing that you cannot find anywhere else, is just the feeling of, being somewhere special.
Yes.
And having and experiencing something that you can't get anywhere else.
Yes, of course.
You want people to spend some time here, so it's cool to have different artifacts, different things that people can, look at, ask about. So
exactly.
That way they spend more time
at
your place.
And they're kind of immersed in the atmosphere. And if you're a polo collector, if I go into a vintage store and I'm looking to try and, find some pieces to buy, I'm excited if I see one really good tweed jacket or a cool sweater. But for polo aficionados, polo collectors, when they walk in the door, they'd gasp, because there's a lot of stuff here. So that's exciting for them. So I have to admit that having my goal is not to be the biggest. That doesn't matter to me, but I definitely want it to be curated and have a very specific kind of focus and be able to, have rare pieces in here.
Yeah. Well, what's good about this is that Ralph Lauren is a timeless brand.
Yes.
It's always been relevant, and it probably always will be.
Yes.
Same as Louis Vuitton. Same as
it will be.
I'm
sure.
It's in that category. So.
Yep. And people I would put the vintage clothing like this now. I try to describe it to people in the same way that one might think about vintage watches, vintage wine, vintage cars, although we're not talking about $25,000 items here, but in the sense that people want things that are rare now, right? And so they want genuinely rare things. And of course, a vintage jacket that is 50 years old, that's 50 years old. This would be 1975, something like that, 76, 74. And when I sold these pieces as a young guy, younger than you, when I had my first job in the polo store in Canada in the 1980s, we were selling these pieces with the idea they were brand new. but selling them with the idea of heritage, of quality, integrity in the design and the craftsmanship, and that it was going to be an heirloom piece that could be passed down. But at the time, they were brand new. Now, this is 50 years old, and that has come true for Ralph Lauren. So that's a wonderful thing, because people are collecting these Ralph Lauren pieces now in the same way that in the 1980s, Ralph was looking at old English tweed jackets, Savile Row pieces, and trying to, reference that in his design.
Yeah, it's that sort of thing that the brand has been consistent.
Yes.
All the way through.
Oh, totally.
I like to create a parallel with Porsche.
Yes.
A lot of the times within the car industry.
Of course.
They're in that same category of being timeless, and
yes.
whenever you see a Porsche
completely,
car, you know it's
that's a 911 right there.
Yeah,
this is the 911 of Ralph Lauren's world for sure. Yeah, cool.
Right.
That's a great analogy. Thank you.
All right.
I got to remember that. I'm going to tell people
right?
that.
It's like
You just hang this up over here. Yeah, of course. Yeah.